When we first started visiting Disney World, I loved Splash Mountain mostly because I felt like it was so long and there was just so much to see inside. And
you go in the basement, it becomes a roller coaster. It's the greatest nighttime ride.
So hopefully there's a lot of cool things to see on the, is there more of a food factor? Is there going to be other food offerings that go with the theme?
Yeah, your favorite in the world is probably
Pecos.
We would hope
seen the last of its days.
That's going to be sad.
I think it makes sense to take Pecos Bill and turn it into a Tiana's Palace or something.
I used to love Pecos Bill, but they got rid of the guacamole.
But the bar,
you.
and the whole bar.
Amy would order. She would order like a side of chips.
Okay,
and
that
then
is
get
a lie.
7 pounds of guacamole at the bar.
Dude, people are gonna think I'm the reason they
lost money on her immediately.
They took it away.
She was a $2.50 negation on every profit.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC show. I am your host, Paul Krieger, and I'm joined by the guacamole queen, Amy, here. We've got John Sakari, aka Big Fat Panda, in the house.
Welcome home.
Senior Sales Associate for the DVC Resale Market, Derek DeBoer, who's celebrating spring break a little early.
I am fresh out of my Disney Springs purchase over the weekend. It's incredibly hard and uncomfortable, but I will wear it for the show.
And Jeff Haslam is here joining us as well. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, everybody.
I had guacamole for lunch today, just so you know.
Thank you. I don't know of a better way to start this show than
I will say that light green on Derek, it's good. I like it.
It almost looks guacamole-ish.
I almost looks guacamole.
I was going to say. So does that mean I can expense the shirt or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
we dressed a little too similar. I didn't see you before I put my shirt on. We kind of look like Twinkies.
You guys are twinning for sure.
oh well.
Twinsies.
Aren't we cute?
Well, I'm identifying as Spaceship Earth.
Well, thank everyone for joining us this week for the show. We are headed into another DVC news update. So it's been a little while since we've unpacked the latest and greatest news around Disney Vacation Club. And I don't know if there's any latest or greatest news, but there's definitely some stories to touch on as we head into March and as we head into springtime here. And we thought, why not kind of review some of those? As we kicked off the show, we talked a little bit about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And you all really confirmed in that conversation the one thing that I've been seeing in monitoring bookings, in monitoring the discounts and deals that Disney has been offering, which is the fact that I don't think it's going to be as big of a draw this summer and fall that Disney's hoping for. I don't see it pulling in the crowds as a brand new ride.
Booking a separate vacation for it, I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be a few,
yeah,
but not a big amount. No,
yeah.
It's nothing really new. It's still a refurbished, technically.
Well, and this is my complaint. It has been my complaint for the last few years at Disney. All they've done lately is just replace things that have already been. With the exception of Tron, I think, Guardians replaced Ellen and Tiana's replacing Splash and Star Wars replaced the car show and Toy Story Land, the backlot. It's true. When are we going to expand to this capacity instead of just redoing things that have already been there? I don't know. Meanwhile, up the road, giant new park.
Giant new awesomeness coming soon that I think we're all very excited to experience over at Epic Universe. So I imagine that we'll probably hear something coming out of the D23 convention this year. If we don't, there's going to be pitchforks and everything at the door. So they've got to announce something of substance at that event. Hopefully a new Disney Vacation Club property too. Gives us something to talk about. So
no more new resorts. No more new resorts. We have enough. We're fine.
I get
the
that.
Shareholders don't like that answer, Derek.
I get that argument. Like, we don't need more resorts. We need another, we need another gate. But I don't feel like DVC members really fill up the parks. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of us hang out at the resort and we do other things. And I mean, obviously a lot are in the park too, but
we're sophisticated.
We're fancy.
Unless you're Ryan Chung, one of our moderators. He fills up the parks more than anybody I think I've ever met.
It is incredible. I envy Ryan every time he is here because he goes, rope drop to extra after hours and just hits it hard every single time he's here. And that's dedication right there. Like and we're not talking about the person that like comes down and it's like their once a year vacation. I feel like he's here once a month.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, kudos to you. Hats off to your dedication.
Is that the Ryan of Ryan and Teresa that we met?
That is the Ryan. Yeah. Yep. Well, as always, if you love our content here on DVC Fan, this is brought to you by the world of DVC. We have props this week. Wow. Okay. I wasn't prepared for that.
Not on my bingo card.
I got new shirts. I got props. Wait till you see the fireworks in 30 minutes. They're fantastic.
DVC Resale Market, where if you're looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract, they can set you up with that. Monera Financial, where if you're looking to finance that DVC resale contract purchase, they will be able to help you out. And the DVC Rental Store, where if you're looking to try before you buy, rent some points for a fraction of the cost as it is direct through Disney, or maybe rent out your own points for some cash, swap your points for a cruise, head to DVC Rental Store. But in the DVC space, in news recently, the big thing that everyone is still talking about are those cabins over at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort. And I feel like I'm putting up a new article every day. People have got to be getting tired of hearing about it because it's just like we're in that endless news cycle for like a new resort at this point where it's like, hey, they removed this tree and they put an outlet here. Come back tomorrow and they're going to plug something into the outlet here. Like, I don't know what else to say, but people read them. And so I write them. But the big news that's happened.
I say that, Paul, too, is that, you've got so much great content that you publish all the time that I'm like, oh my God, I wake up every single morning and I'm like, oh my God, there's another story about the cabins, where I feel sometimes in our universe that the only people really talking about the cabins are literally like Disney Vacation Club members talking about how I'm not going to buy points at the cabins. But in terms of, there's not a buzz out there with people on the boats or the monorails or even the bus drivers talking. I just feel like it's just kind of us internally kind of dissecting it versus, oh my God, I can't wait till when, I can buy points at the new Polynesian Towers. It just does not have any sort of buzz to me whatsoever at all.
Not at all. I completely agree with that. I don't know that, even being on property and hearing guides talk about it, it's not, it's just not an exciting property. It's like all these other properties that they've done recently, Grand Floridian.
I was excited. The dudes killed my buzz.
And the two dogs. But
and the dog thing. And the fact that they're only opening like one whole loop to begin with.
Yeah.
So, part of the excitement of a new resort for us is to be there opening day and to stay if you can. We did this with Disneyland. We did this with Grand Floridian. And so it's almost going to be impossible to get an opening night cabin. You had to have bought it, which I think was their intention, right? You had to have bought the points there. But yeah.
And to that point, sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like you guys were saying, it's always fun to go opening day and try and stay and try all the new things. But there's no new things. Like there's no new restaurant to try. There's no pool. There's no water slide. It's back to what I said at the beginning of the show. We're just replacing what's already there. And it's really hard to get excited about it.
It literally will be just a bunch of members kind of standing around like a cul-de-sac for like a neighborhood party. Like, oh yeah, I like your cabin.
Oh, we should have a barbecue.
It'll come out. What do you think? What did you think last night? You liked it? Yeah. Okay.
You'll meet everyone as they're walking to do their laundry the next morning together because there's no laundry in the cabins. So, which people are still so sore about.
I can't believe they didn't just add that. Like add a little. They couldn't add a couple of square foot to that cabin.
Yeah.
And put what is the one on top of the other? Stackable one. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been an easy addition. And our community is pretty big now at this point. So like the DVC Fan Facebook group has it's quickly approaching 30,000 members. We've got a lot of people that watch this show, and I feel like I've seen one post. I've seen one post in DVC Fan of someone that bought and added on to the cabins. And I've gotten one Instagram message from a family that historically has done like a camper and stayed at the campgrounds, and they are selling their camper now to buy into the cabins. But so out of everyone in our community, which go back in time 2 years from now and look at the posts of people when they were adding on you don't even have to go back that far. You just have to go back to the fall and the last round of incentives before Grand Floridian sold out, and how people were just adding on in droves still at that point in time. It's a 180 in what we're seeing.
I felt that, Paul, which is why I asked you when they added incentives. I was like, oh, is this because sales are really bad? Because that's what I felt. Because I've never known, but you told me, they give incentives in the beginning of everything anyway.
Yeah, so we saw the first round of new member add-on incentives. Those came out in mid-February, but as of March 1st, the cabins are now on sale to the general public, so new members can also add those. And, the conversation that you and I had, Panda, was at that time, they rolled out basically their first round of introductory incentives for member add-ons. And so I actually, there's an article of that over on dvcfan.com where you can read through the incentives, but I did a nice little comparison. So if you look at the cabins, so if you're a new member looking to add on at the cabins, in the 150 to 199 point range, you can save $6 per point on that kind of purchase. So I went back in time to look at what was that range when Grand Floridian went on sale. That range when Grand Floridian went on sale was 175 to 199 points, a $2 savings. So they did get a little bit aggressive with the incentives, but let's put an asterisk around that because of the fact that at the time Grand Floridian went back on sale with Big Pine Key, it was $207 per point. Mm-hmm. And the cabins are starting off at a much higher price of $225 per point. So,
and it's important to note that when the Grand Floridian first went on sale, when that original building went on sale, the Grand at no point had any discounts whatsoever. None. It was just, here's the points. People were clamoring for it. My friend, we would sell, guaranteed week after guaranteed week, because it really was one of those like Bay Lake Tower, and like I think the Polynesian will be too, because everybody sees it. You see it right there. Every time you go to the Magic Kingdom, you don't have to say, so where are the cabins? Well, you go over the bridge and then around by the other cabins and all the way over there. They're over there. Here, you're looking at it every day. So it's going to...
Great point that I never thought of, Derek. The product is not for you can't see it. Most people don't even know about the cabins. As a matter of fact, I wonder how many people think that we're talking about the other cabins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the cabins at
Copper
Wilderness
Creek.
Lodge.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. I think that's going to confuse people. I think they should have called them something else. The outhouses at Fort Wilderness or something. I don't know, but
Chalet.
The Buckhouses
would be
Jeff
cute,
at dvcfan.com for the
Chalet would have been Forest Chalet. I like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You're especially if you thought you've bought into that, and think about the boat ride that you take from maybe Magic Kingdom to get over there. You're going to drive by all of the Copper Creek cabins. Be like, no, those aren't yours yet. You keep going. There's somewhere in the pine trees back there, another mile and a half down the lake.
I mean, especially because you got people from other countries coming. The understanding is not as fresh as it is for us. It's cabins is cabins. I agree. They should have changed that name.
What do we think? So, and Amy, I'll throw this to you first. What do you think the intent here is? Do you think that there's a timeline that they care to sell this out in? Is this intentional? What are we looking at here? We know that Riviera still at its current pace probably has about 2 to 3 years left in terms of the life of points. And this is not near that size. I think we're maybe at about,
it's a lot smaller.
It's a lot smaller, but also, if we discuss lack of buzz, all that kind of stuff, like
I think this is just absolute guessing. I think their intent is to put the maintenance cost onto somebody else, because I think that maintaining these cabins are expensive. Every time the wind blows hard, they get hit with...
One blows over.
I'm telling you, they get hit with trees. They get evacuated during hurricanes. They get, they're not as stable of a structure as a building like Riviera. So, because the cabins sold, like the campgrounds and the cabins, they were popular on the hotel market. But I think that DVC is, okay, well, we can make some money with DVC. We can pass those maintenance cost onto somebody else, onto the owners, we can still maintain and sell some, you know what I mean, for cash. But that's just a guess. I'm just guessing.
No,
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's a unique, different way to think of it. So not necessarily the cabins being a moneymaker for them, but being a cost saver. So basically a line item cut in saying, if we can pass the buck on, we know we're losing this much per year on these cabins.
You would think, though, that the new cabins would be like easy to maintain, like not have shingles that need to be replaced, like maybe metal. They can prefab some of the things. I can't imagine that they're that much to upkeep compared to a huge building. But
look at the
maybe.
dues, though. I mean, the dues
that's
are the
dues are
second
killing them.
highest.
And we're in Florida,
I wonder-
Panda, and you just got a new roof. You know how these roofs last down here.
True.
Well, and Amy brought up an interesting point about them being popular, which I think they are with a select niche of people. But every time back in Utah, when I would come out and I would be planning last minute trips, it seemed like last minute cabins were always available. And even now, I just looked just because I was curious. You can get a cabin this weekend.
Really?
This weekend for, I mean, it's expensive, but a lot of other resorts don't have availability. Some of the value ones do, but I don't know. I don't think they're as popular as people think they are.
Do you think it's the campsites that are more popular, and especially like the RV sites? And so
I think so. I think that community in and of itself is it's just a different ball game. They dress up. They dress up their cars. They, you know what I mean? They do their own parades like that. The campgrounds themselves are just a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But the cabins, it seems like you could always get one. It seems, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah. Then that is probably part of it.
But also, for frame of reference, this weekend it's $608 a night.
Wow.
Wow, we didn't pay that for opening day.
We paid like $300, but we're also staying in an old cabin.
That is true.
But this is also an old cabin.
We'll actually
This will be an
drive
old
up to our
cabin,
cabin site, and they will have taken it away already, and it will just be just a shell of where our cabin used to be. Derek, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, and it's like Jeff kind of touched on too, and I know we all have. It's just to have this be successful, it has to have mass appeal. And like Jeff said, I think those people that love that area and love Fort Wilderness, they are a much smaller minority, but they're very, very vocal. So I think that, Jeff was right on the head when it's like, you think that everybody loves these cabins. I bet you if you talk to people, 99% of them don't even know where it is. How do I even get there? Let alone if I'm a Disney Vacation Club member, the reason I joined this, because God, man, I love checking into my one bedroom with a full kitchen, with a washer dryer, with a separate bedroom to throw the kids after they're passed out on sugar and pixie dust, shut the door, have a whole living room space. I can't imagine then that next trip saying, hey guys, look, we're all going to stay in this cabin. And the kids are like, where are we? Why aren't we staying at Bay Lake Tower like we normally do? Or why aren't we staying at the beach club or the boardwalk? It just seems like
Derek says it like it is. Could you imagine if Derek did one of those prescription commercials? He'd be like, you're going to die. You know that, right? You're going to take this thing. You're going to die. He's just so good at I love him.
I was just going to say, if anyone has missed rants on this channel for a while, just replay that last minute and a half for a couple times through, and you'll be good.
And even people that take the boat over just to go to like Hoop-de-Doo, they don't even really see the cabins on that trip either. They're just
they're way far away.
So strange. I don't know. No, not knocking anybody that loves them, because
that's the thing.
I've been
not at all
Disney fan forever, and until my friend had a cabin, I didn't know they existed.
That's the thing, though, with DVC members in general. Like, they definitely can't be going after the DVC population, because DVC members like easy transportation and easy locations, and they complain about Animal Kingdom, and it's not even that bad. And they complain about Oak Key West and Saratoga, where but the buses are always there, not far from your building, at least at those resorts. At Fort Wilderness, you got to take a bus to get to the bus. You know what I mean? So
I bet you there's not a lot of add-on, because if you're a DVC person, this is a whole different thing, the cabin. So who's adding on to what they already have? I don't know.
And really the only thing that you can even compare them to, and Amy's comment about taking a bus to get to the bus, the tree houses are probably the closest thing in my mind that you can compare them to, because it's the same. There's not really any restaurants. The pool sucks, and you have to take a bus to get to the bus. You know what I mean? So, but at least that's kind of, it's a tree house. It's like up in the sky and
Yeah.
golf course views. And it's kind of a cool experience where these are just,
It is.
I don't know, the manufactured homes of Walt Disney World.
And the treehouse has a washer dryer, right? I think
Yes.
it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it has 3 bedrooms too, so it's bigger. It's
Yeah.
also more points, but
They are tiny bedrooms in the treehouse. Just so you know, I mean, they are, except for the master. The other bedrooms are really pretty tiny.
I really want to stay in a treehouse. We have not done that yet.
Okay.
They're so fun.
I
Let's
know.
do it.
We
They
need
are.
to book a
And
treehouse.
let me tell you, if you haven't, I thought that they would be buggy. I have an insect fear, and they're just not. And I'm thrilled of that because the area around it is. You look out the window of one of those treehouse, you see some things, but inside, nice. and clean.
Thank you for putting that fear into
You
me.
see bugs that are the size of your hand walking around the trees.
There's gonna
outside.
be
And those are starting to get that same kind of campground feel. People are starting to decorate those Christmas lights up the railings and stuff. It's
Oh.
not
I
as
never
big
saw
yet,
that.
but it's coming along.
They're going to get refurbished soon too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those will look like glamping cabins. To what you guys said, I had a friend from back home in Wheeling that called me earlier this week, and him and his family went to Disney last year. And this year, they were talking about wanting to rent points because they are thinking long term about eventually buying Disney Vacation Club. But he got a little bit behind. Family was dragging their feet that was going to go with them in terms of planning. And so the 11-month window came and went, and they weren't able to book what they want. But one of the big things he kept saying to me was, now that I'm looking, the only things availability wise that are left are like Saratoga, Old Key West. And one of the big things that we loved when we stayed at Contemporary last year was the ease of access of transportation. Like you said, Amy, it is that is very, very much something that's top of people's minds. It's why historically the best performing properties have been those around the Monorail Loop or those around Epcot that are easy access to transportation. So when you look at some of these other fringe properties, the ones that are last to be booked are the Saratoga Springs, the Old Key West, that are just bus transportation. And I would add the cabins at Fort Wilderness now to that list. It'll be interesting to watch availability as it kind of changes. Current members cannot book these at the time of us doing these shows unless you've added on at the property. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to monitor throughout the rest of the year and just kind of see how the early sales stats and everything look for them.
Yeah, when I think about, because I am excited to stay at them, but when
Yeah,
I think about them, I'm thinking about them as a Florida local where I want to take a weekend and I just want to stay at Fort Wilderness and I want to walk around Fort Wilderness and swim there and eat at the restaurants there, maybe go to Hoop-de-Doo, maybe take a boat to Magic Kingdom. But this would not be something I would choose for a all-out Disney World parks vacation if I was traveling from, if I wasn't local.
Now, let me ask this, because I'm excited to book the cabin because of the low-cost points to get there. I wonder how many families will have, let's say they want 2 bedrooms or they want, more, or they at least want a 1 bedroom, but they can't get it. So they look at this point chart. I know it's not the same as staying in a hotel, but I would definitely go to one of these cabins and, take 4 people.
Yeah. And that's probably why they had to be lower point charts to draw people in.
But
I mean, because
do you think it was a mistake for them to restrict it like Riviera? Because I think this is going to be a lot of people's fallback plan. And I think they're going to have a harder time booking them than they think they are. If everything that we're talking about ends up, coming true. I don't know. It just seems like it might end up being another resort of last resort, like some of these others.
Let's define restriction. You're talking about resale restriction?
Yeah.
Yep. So basically anybody, anyone with resale points, that purchased after what, January 19th, 2019 or January something, 2019. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I got the date right.
I think when you buy, you never think you're ever going to sell. And a lot of people don't even,
But even taking out of the equation that if you buy resale at the cabins, they're restricted to the cabins. If you bought resale, I think what Jeff means, like if you bought resale at any of the other older resorts, after January 19th, 2019, then you can't use them at the cabin. So that's going to take all these people that own all these points.
Right.
That can now,
wait,
we
so
have
I can't
a poly
use my
contract.
Riviera?
You can because you have a Riviera Direct, but we have a Polynesian contract
I have Old Key West
that we
resale.
won't be able to
Oh.
use there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Mhm.
Good to know.
That's what I think, that this whole restrictions, and don't worry, I'm not going to go on another rant, but I'm just saying.
Please
that's why
do.
Please do. Please do.
Hold on, I need
It-
popcorn.
it hurts Disney in the long run, because you're taking these amazing tens of thousands of members that bought resale that would love to say, hey, you know what? Let me try to use my points and maybe try one of those cabins, right? Because guess what? Maybe they're going to try it. Maybe they're going to say, oh my God, you know what? I think I love this. I think we need to maybe buy some direct points so we can come in here more often and have that 11-month booking window. When you're telling those people that spent tens of thousands of dollars on a resale contract that, no, you're not welcome here, that's the problem. It's because you're denying them the chance to stay at Riviera, and maybe they add on points direct at Riviera because they love it. And the same thing with the cabins, the same thing. Well, Disneyland's a little bit different of a beast, but you know what I mean? I just think that you're denying people the chance to try something. And then, like so many members try different resorts. They might start, and I've done this for a long time, they might start and say, our favorite is, guess what? The XXX resort. That's our favorite one. So we're only going to stay here. But then guess what? Somehow they miraculously say got into the beach club at 7 months out, 6 months out, and had the most amazing time. Then they reach out to us and say, hey, you know what? I think we want to buy a beach club contract, or maybe we want to buy a boardwalk contract, or maybe it's a different contract, because they were able to try a different resort out. When you're denying thousands of people the chance to try a resort out, I think you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
It's a great point to make in terms of the long-term plan that they've had, and I think they've been very short-sighted in what they're looking at. You know, they're looking year to year and what helps them hit the budget that they've set out to hit. But you know, some of these restrictions that they're putting in place, I can't agree more with you, Derek. You know, I think a lot of the moves they're making right now are going to bite them here in the end. You know, several years down the road, when we kind of do have this fully divisive system that they are creating with Disney Vacation Club. So we'll continue to monitor it. And I didn't think that we'd go on a 31-minute rant, but Derek took up 5 of that with his own. So I do want to end. He's in spring break mode, so he's partying and ranting. I do want to say that if you've stuck through the first 30 minutes of this show and we've convinced you, you know, you're just like, I got to get my hands on those cabins right now. The one thing I would tell you is that this is the best pricing direct that you will probably ever see for them. So the first round of incentives historically have always been some of the best pricing for a new resort. There are a couple exceptions to that, but I think tried and true over the years, it is that, you know, this is going to be the best pricing. Disney loves to increase pricing. So, you know, even though we might see more aggressive incentives, where does that price per point for the resort go? And then obviously down the road, you will be able to purchase the resorts on the resale market if you're fully in love with that property. But if some of these incentives do appeal to you, and if the cabins do appeal to you, and somehow you've not unsubscribed to DVC Fan at this point, then I would urge you to act on that feeling at this moment. And this round of incentives, I believe, expire April 1st, at which time we will then have a new round of incentives that come out.
Yeah. And if you're on the fence, you can buy as close to that April 1st day as possible, because you get a 10-day cooling off period where you can cancel. So if new, better incentives come out on April 2nd, April 1st, whatever, then you can cancel and get those.
Best time to buy is always like a couple days.
Within that 10-day window.
Best time to buy is always, you know, a couple days before that new round of incentives come out, because then if they do drop, which is rare, then you can take advantage of the new offers. Speaking of cabins, not to beat a dead horse, but do any of you want to purchase a cabin?
I do.
I have no room in my backyard, but I would love one.
So you want to sell our house and move
No, I don't want
into
to
a
live in
cabin?
it. I want to put it in the backyard.
There's not enough
For
room
the
in
dogs.
that backyard.
The dogs.
Dogs. Oh, no. They'd be so
If you
sad.
buy one and put it in your backyard,
I'm going to rent it to
Me
John.
and Jeff are
point.
coming
I'm
to stay
coming
over
yeah, we're coming over.
with marshmallows.
Of all of our backyards, Derek probably has the biggest. So we're
We'll put it
definitely
in Derek's
putting
backyard.
it in Derek's backyard, and we're all just going to live at Derek's house now.
My dues are like $2 a point, so you're gonna love it.
That's a steal, and the cabin's only $49,900, which
is a good deal.
it is a good deal. That extra $100 really saves you. You know, why not make it an even $50,000 when you can make it $49,900? So the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness are now starting to be flipped from the old cabins to the new cabins. And of all places, Disney decided, where should we sell these? And so some sketchy resellers have popped up on, of all places, Facebook Marketplace. And this is where I just want to go on a little bit of a detour real quick. I am petrified of Facebook Marketplace. And I've talked to Jeff about this in great detail. I've talked to our other friend, Jeff Gervasio, who uses Facebook Marketplace all the time. But how do you know any of it's legit? And how do you know who you're selling it to and that it's going to just all work out? And so how do I know that I'm not going to show up and try to purchase this log cabin? It's listed as a log cabin tiny house. There's no Disney marketing or anything associated with it. It just says old cabins, and there's pictures of the cabin. So I have to assume that it is kind of legit. But
I mean,
at the same time,
any guest could take a picture of the cabins.
Yeah,
well,
really.
and it's not even a good picture. Like there's someone like walking out the front door, and
Or it's like Temu, and you get a tent.
yeah, like I'll get like what are the like the Tinker Toy cabin, log cabin,
Lincoln
Say
Logs.
tiny.
yeah.
Sir,
get, like,
tiny is in the description.
Tiny
Do they
is
put like details like feet and stuff or no?
They do say we have a select few of these unbelievable cabins for sale. Cabins come fully furnished. Kind of paraphrasing here, it does say cabins are 12 by 43. There's no foot marker there, so
There's
that
a
could
date
be
range
that could be inches, that
of
could be
the
feet. You know, that could be
age.
a lot of different things. It does say like.
But they're not
age
telling you
of
the
cabin.
square. They're not saying square footage.
Approximately 500 square feet, I think that's
Oh,
it.
all right.
Yeah.
All right,
Here's
so
the
then they
thing.
can't give you the toy.
The listing is just a person. It's not a company.
Yeah. No.
So, and
What?
I don't know how Facebook Marketplace works. So, purchase at your own risk. But if you do and you're successful, just let us know. We're curious.
I'm scared to sell
What?
anything on Facebook Marketplace.
Have you
What
heard that
Disney
comedian that talks about that? He says, I just invited a mass murderer in my house because my wife wants to sell a blender for $5 that we haven't used in 10 years.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen if I try to sell anything on Facebook Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're in Florida. Like there's probably a Florida man story that is along. If I look up, I really want to Google it right now, but I don't want to get us too far off topic. But Google Florida man Facebook Marketplace. I'm sure there's a result that comes up.
There are also some
well-
really funny reels about Facebook Marketplace. Have you ever watched those?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And you're selling to somebody that's looking for a house. I don't know. This is all sketchy. To me.
Derek's been really quiet. Derek, do you know what Facebook Marketplace is?
I am that Florida man.
I am that Florida man in the spring break t-shirt.
I feel like Jeff's hat belongs on Derek's head. Like it just
Oh,
it just
this
goes. Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if you could hand it?
Oh my God! If Derek would have grabbed and got the hat, I would have just left.
We should have set that up.
I would have died. I really would have.
Yeah. Does that cabin say anything Disney? Like, does it say it was at
No.
Fort Wilderness? It's just
Which
a
I
Disney
imagine.
cabin.
I
I don't
imagine
think
that.
they can legally do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just says from a popular resort.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Wow.
that's weird.
But like whenever, if you've never been to the Lakeland
Antique Mall.
Austin Antique Mall, like all their stuff says Disney. I mean, it literally is Disney stuff. So
Mhm.
kind of curious why they
That's
couldn't.
true.
we bought Disney
There's-
Vacation Club cups there.
There's
one
a
time.
place down by us, even closer, that sells Disney stuff in Winter
they've
Haven.
had boardwalk furniture recently.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I have a boardwalk pillow. I like it. I love it. It sits in my
A
office.
used boardwalk pillow.
I washed it.
I would,
You have to.
I
have
would
to.
like them to sell all the new boardwalk furniture. Like, that would be ideal. So if they can do that,
And it looked
All
pretty
right.
clean, but I did wash it.
Last comments on the cabins. I did scour the Orange County Comptroller site in the early days of the cabins going on sale. Finally saw the first deed of the cabins. We had talked about this on a previous show related to how were these cabins going to be deeded. And it is a deeded interest in the trust. So basically the language being used is you're purchasing a ownership interest assigned to the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort use plan, assigned trust use plan, subject to the Palmetto Trust Agreement. So, as we kind of assumed, this is not the deeded interest, which to me has always felt a little extra special. Like it's always said I own X, I'll use Derek's terminology, XXX% of this unit in Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. And I walk around the resort and I go, oh, I own that doorknob, or, I own that tile, or just something random because it's probably that small of an ownership interest. But now what do you say? Like, I own part of this
Vapor, air.
Yeah, like I don't know. It just doesn't have the same
But
ring to
the
it.
usage is the same. So it's at the end of the day, it expires the same, just like your tile is going to expire with your giraffe on it.
I'm taking the tile.
I mean, Paul, you nailed it 100%. That is what we as Vacation Club members take such pride in the fact is because we use the phrase, I own. Like I'm a boardwalk owner, or I'm a Vero Beach owner, or I own Old Key West, or I own, 8 different resorts. But the fact is you own them all. And that is what we take such pride in. And it just doesn't roll off the tongue the same. We'd be like, I own a percent in the trust that's named after a giant Florida bug. It just doesn't sound like it's good.
Yeah, they could have rephrased that name a little bit, worked that, done a couple polls with Disney Vacation Club members. What would you like the trust to be named? Jeff,
Right.
Any quick ideas off the top of your head? Trust names?
I can't.
No, he checked out after Facebook Marketplace conversation. He's still he's actually browsing the Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm measuring my patio to see if there's room for one of those.
He's going to sell
All right.
that hat.
They did get marked up. The last ones were for sale for like 20,000. But
Cab inflation is real.
but you had to leave it at the resort that they were at. So I guess that kind of this they'll deliver to you.
Now, of
Supposedly.
all things that could provoke a Derek rant, I think our next topic is one that I immediately texted to him when it happened this past Saturday, because I said to myself, rest in peace, Gateway to Dreams, and welcome, Gateway to Discovery at Disney Springs. Because this concept seems like they said, what do we have in our bag of tricks that we haven't pulled out in a while? And they said, hey, let's put a Disney Vacation Club center in Disney Springs where we can sell people on the product. There is a kind of a member lounge space that is supposed to be coming to the upstairs of this later this summer. According to journalist Brooke McDonald on X and on social media, this is not the rumored Disney Vacation Club lounge that is coming to Walt Disney World. So, her sources basically said that this is not that. So we should expect an announcement later this year for another lounge.
And I don't know that the upstairs of this is going to actually be a lounge. It just said member space.
No, it's going to be where
Right.
sales guides like Derek take people and sit them down and talk to them and dive into the number. Not Derek, but
I don't think you're going to let me do that, Paul.
back in the day at Gateway to Dreams, it would be where Derek takes you and you sit and you talk numbers and you have a snack and kind of hang out. But
Well, it's kind of interesting because I don't know if anybody remembers, they actually had a preview center at Disney Springs many, many years ago.
Mhm.
Where they would meet, where the vacation guides would work, and they'd have assigned days where they would talk to guests about have little parlor rooms. It was upstairs. I can't remember exactly where it was, but maybe someone out there might remember it.
Yeah, and I think it's the same exact location. So I don't
Is it?
think because there has historically been a plaque that says Disney Vacation Club around this general area. And so
And
I think that same space is the one upstairs that will become this space again.
It was a beautiful space, and we were always kind of amazed that they didn't keep it going longer than they actually did, just because they spent, from what I hear, a lot of money transforming this space. It had this amazing tile floor with it was really, really cool. So I imagine a lot of that stuff is still there. But yes, Paul, I think you're 100% right. I think it's a chance for them, for the folks that work for Disney Vacation Club, what's known as the Advanced Sales Associates. It's for them that are going to be there at Disney Springs, and we know there's many locations throughout Disney Springs with the big book, and you could learn about DVC. What they want you to do then is, of course, sign up for a tour, right? Oh, great. We'll take you over to Saratoga, or we'll take you over to the Riviera, or we'll take that. Having a sales center right there eliminates that. I don't know if I have time. I don't have time to get in a bus. I don't have time to go even across the way to Saratoga. It's, hey, you know what? We've got a vacation guide that's right here available. I can walk you right up here, take you upstairs to a beautiful area where you could learn about purchasing in the Palmetto Trust. So yeah, I think they're doing that to capture some of the thousands and thousands of people that walk through Disney Springs every single day, but don't want to take the time to take a full-blown tour. So I think it's smart.
Do you think, I don't remember if this was in the DVC fan Facebook group or in one of our moderator chat groups, or maybe one of you guys even said it, but someone recently pointed out whether or not this is an acknowledgement by Disney Vacation Club that they think that the product that they're creating, because of both the restrictions and because of the trust, is more difficult to explain these days, and they need more of these sit-down centers to actually explain this product. Because I have to, Derek, if you go back to when you were selling it versus what it is today, and the number of asterisks and the number of, extra things that you have to make sure you probably say in that presentation before they sign next to the Mickey, then it's a whole different product today.
It's a whole different product. I mean, that used to be the ease of Disney Vacation Club. Truly, I mean, since it began, it was, oh, you know what? You're purchasing a deeded real estate in a Disney Vacation Club resort. Well, what do I get if I buy a deed? Well, you get to book there a little bit earlier than when you want to stay at any of the other resorts. So again, that's one of the best parts about the club is you buy one, but you're a member of one, you're a member of all the resorts. Now it's a little bit dicier, just because there are, like you said, Paul, so many asterisks of, okay, so if you go to sell your Riviera or your Fort Wilderness Escape, they're going to cover that with you when you do your contracts and say, okay, so just so you know, the owner of this and blah, 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 blah. There's just a lot more weeds to get into that. When you're selling Disney Vacation Club, you want to avoid the weeds at all costs. You literally just want to keep this product as simple and easy as it is. And these are the point charts. Isn't it fun? We just planned a trip. You're staying at the Polynesian for 6 nights for only 140 some points. Isn't that great? And you get these points every single year for the life of your membership. Great. Do you want to join? Perfect. Let's do it. So yeah, it definitely breaks it out, and it's just a lot more stuff to cover, let alone back then, resale wasn't always a huge thing. So the first thing that people do is they obviously Google, like, man, I took a tour. This club sounds amazing, but let me do a little bit of research. When they start to do the research, you guys know what happens is they'll find the DVC resale market, and then they'll start asking questions. And I've had folks call us from a cruise ship because they attended a presentation, literally calling from a Caribbean island because they learned about DVC but did research and found the DVC resale market. I've had folks call from inside those parlor rooms, right, after they just learned about the club and how it works. So when you start to do research, that's where you always want to take your time, and do research and make sure that it is going to work for you. And if it is, what's going to be the best path for you to head down, whether it's resale or whether it's buying direct.
This sounds highly illegal the more I think about it in my head, but Disney at the resorts, they always have basically a comeback offer that's in the room, which basically says, if you book while you're here, save X percent of your next vacation. Yeah, I'm just adopting it, Derek. But I'm surprised that there's never been, and maybe historically there has, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but it'd be interesting to see whether or not there would ever be some sort of closing tactic by DVC that says, hey, if you do buy today while you're here, save an extra whatever percentage or save an extra this off of whatever. I don't know if that's legal or not. In the timeshare world, that's a very gray area.
That would also look very high pressure. You have to buy today. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Well, not that you have to, but that you could save some more money, and it could lead to more closings, which I feel like, to Derek's point, that's the problem these days, is with the adoption of the internet, with various channels like DVC Fan and other stuff coming out there and exposing everything that Disney Vacation Club is, not because we don't love the product and not because we haven't bought direct, but because we do want people. It's like buying a car today. Buying a car today is a lot different than it was even 3 years ago pre-COVID. We are now, in an environment where you do 99.9% of the shopping online before you even go to the dealership, and you just show up and say, hey, this is the price that I saw online. You can either meet this or not. End of discussion. Like that's how I handle those conversations these days. And actually, I never go there because we sold a car on Carvana and it took us like 5 seconds. Not so sponsored by Carvana, but it was so easy. So we're in this digital world today where it's like, if someone walks out of that sales presentation, if someone walks out of that sales center and doesn't sign on the dotted line, the percentage chance compared to what it was 10 years ago that they're going to actually close on that sale is drastically different, I feel.
And it shows, just because we all have obviously a lot of friends that still work there, I can't even begin to tell you like how researched the guests are. Before it was literally you're snagging mom and dad who are on vacation. They're learning about the club for the first time. People come in with laptops. They come in with spreadsheets. They come in with everything broken out, and they will sit down. They know more about the club in many cases than some of the people that work for Disney Vacation Club because of shows like this and because they've taken the time to do their research. So yes, they're there to see the model rooms, but these guests, because of shows like this and because of our audience is so smart and does so much research, by the time they get to that guide, they're literally, okay, so here's the first of my 84 questions. Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do? And they just have to go down the whole entire list. So yeah, research has changed a lot.
Yeah. And I will confirm that only from our experience when we were out covering the grand opening of the villas at Disneyland Hotel. We talked to a couple guides out there, and I think Amy and I both said things at various points that a lot of the guides out there are new. And so it was like they were shocked and surprised and didn't understand what we said. And it was like, I don't know how you don't know that. Like
that happened with Lauren. Yesterday?
Did it?
Yeah, she said she went into one of the open houses. I won't say where, but the person working, they're not guides in there. You know what I mean? They're like the people at the
ASAs. Yeah.
Yeah. Was basically ended up asking her questions about, the 7-month window, the 11-month window, this and that, just because, I think she was a newer employee too, but still they didn't really teach them those things.
We need to put together a tutorial course and sell it to Disney on Disney Vacation Club.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
It's just that's where my mind goes at this moment. It's like,
well, and to your point about it being so complicated now, like how long have we been doing this show together? 6-8 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Panda today just learned that you couldn't use your resale points at the restricted resort. Like it is so complicated that even our experts don't know what they're talking about sometimes. Just kidding, Panda. But
no, it's absolutely true. You're absolutely right.
That's why we do this, is to help people.
And honestly, it wasn't until you guys brought it up that I was like, oh, we can't use those Polynesian points there. You know what I mean? So I had just thought about that too. So
the longer you're a member now, like you do add on, which we will continue to add on probably eventually, but it's like you've got to now start going contract by contract, going, when did I buy this contract? What can I use this for?
Right.
Like we know that our one Animal Kingdom 50-point contract, like that's the lifer contract for us because that's the one that holds our direct benefits, or our DVCY or Blue Card or whatever you want to call it. But we can never sell that contract. So it has its own set of rules. And then you just keep adding and adding and adding. And the complexity of it all, it makes it extremely complicated. And that's why
this contract will get me into Moonlight Magic. This one will get me 5% off a pretzel. I think this one gets me free buttons if I stop by the booth over here. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like figuring out if you need a park pass or not, which we still have no idea.
Don't get us started on
Disney
park
itself needs a simplification across the board. It's getting complicated.
I saw something the other day that said that annual pass holders, they were putting a pause on good to go days, and I was like, I don't even know what day's good to go anymore. Like I don't no, I'm not going to.
You don't know until you go in to make a reservation. That's the biggest problem. Is you're going to make the reservation. Oh, you don't need one. Well, why did I just take the 5 minutes to log in and figure that out. I don't know.
That's what
Is
I just told you last week, Jeff, because I was like, because we all went to Moonlight Magic, and I was like, so guys, am I going to show up and get turned away? Because Annie tried to make reservations, but it wouldn't let her. And Jeff's like, no, that's a good to go day. So you're all set. I was like, okay.
Is this a welcome center thing at Disney Springs? Is it going to be somewhat similar to what they're putting in at California Adventure in the Blue Sky building? Is that?
I wouldn't be shocked at all if you see basically the same kind of mindset. You know, shout out to Ryan Chung again. He went there on the day this opened a week ago, took some great pictures. They're up in an article over on DVC Fan, but you know, just the mindset of it, having some models of the current resorts. So there's a model of Riviera, there's a model of the cabins, there's a model of Disneyland Hotel. You can see what those villas look like. They have,
and by model, he doesn't mean something you can walk into.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. Very small scale, tiny house, tiny log cabin model, like you would buy on Facebook Marketplace.
Like something my dad would put on his train layout.
Yeah. So very tiny versions. But you know, those are there. There's, you know, obviously displays trying to sell you on using your points, or what I would call wasting your points on Adventures by Disney or Disney Cruise Line. So that's, you know, it's basically a sales center for
it's actually
term.
It's pretty small looking.
Yeah.
Too.
And we've gotten reports from multiple people that it's pretty small. So it'll be interesting to see later this year what the upstairs turns into and what it looks like. You know, if it's anything like Derek said, with golden tile and you know, Kool-Aid coming out of the faucets, as long as there's a bathroom, it's an upgrade from Epcot. So I mean,
It's true.
Yeah, I would be very curious, like you guys said too. Is it really going to be a quote unquote lounge? I don't consider it being a lounge.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they want members coming in all day, checking cards. Are you allowed upstairs? Are you not allowed to go upstairs? What are you going to do upstairs? Blah, blah, blah. So I don't see it like a Epcot lounge or even a Disneyland lounge. I think it's more of like, if you have some questions, we can schedule some time. And while you're upstairs, you could use the free potty. That's what I would see.
And I would love them to, I don't know if this space is big enough. I would love them to bring back, they did this probably about 2 years ago. I feel like they died off last year, but they were doing like special events for members, like just some special extra paid events for members. That was like, one was like a cookbook thing where the author of the cookbook came in and you got to try a dish from the cookbook and talk with them. There were a couple other smaller events like that, but it'd be great if they did start to do some of those things again, in terms of just some member events that allow you not only to interact with other members, but allow you to interact with, you know, someone special in the Disney universe. So lot to be determined. And we also have another lounge coming in the future. Anyone have any bets on where that might be coming?
Magic Kingdom needs it. I really hope they got it.
Yeah.
I just don't know where they're going to put it in the Magic Kingdom. You know,
I don't know where they put anything in the Magic Kingdom.
Right.
They should have one in every park, so I don't really care where it goes as long as
There is space. If they really look, there's space.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where, but there's space.
And it's not the same clientele, but one of the reasons that I think they've been apprehensive to do this over the years is because of Club 33. I wonder if there's like this worry, and maybe Club 33 is basically at a sold out point and there's enough of a wait list right now where they're like, okay, we don't care as much anymore. But like, I wonder if they held off on it for so long because they kind of said to themselves, we don't want to cannibalize this product by giving people
but
extra stuff here.
The lounges are just a part of Club 33. If I could join Club 33, it would be for all those passes and all the lightning lanes and, you know what I mean?
True. VIP tours and all the things.
Right,
yeah.
the VIP tours. Right. So bringing up our Monterey group, Ryan said, well, they filed a permit to work on the Star Cruiser to do something with it. I don't think that's going to be a DVC lounge, but it's
Star
a
Cruiser
fun
DVC
thought.
That would be something for sure.
I think Animal Kingdom would be a good place to put it right now. More to think about it.
The back room in Pecos Bill at Magic Kingdom, they could just close that off. Nobody uses it, or I mean, they do, but they don't need it. Make it a lounge.
Why do you guys keep trying to take my Pecos Bill away?
No, we still have Pecos Bill. We're just taking a room.
It's gone downhill since we lost the guacamole.
It's hard to find a spot to sit already.
It's like
I'm
a
just
private
kidding.
members only guacamole lounge.
The food has gone way downhill at Pecos Bill. You can have it.
Maybe what they should do is take one of these cabins they're selling. It's rustic looking. Plop it down in Frontierland.
Don't tempt them.
Perfect.
That's probably exactly what they're doing.
6
like,
people
that's
can
not,
fit in it.
It's not even a joke. They probably are going to do that. Like,
they just bought it from Facebook Marketplace for $50,000. That's what they're going to use.
Last up on our news list for this round, the free water park access on check-in day for DVC members in 2025. Now, this is for anyone staying at any Disney World hotel or resort property. Starting in 2025, guests will receive free water park access to whatever water park decides to be open that month. It's always kind of a roulette wheel, Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon. But they will receive, for them and all of their guests, free water park access on their day of check-in. And that's a pretty cool benefit. And I think it changes how maybe some people will make their vacation plans in 2025, maybe how they book their flights, what time they get here, all of those things. Jeff, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this? Good move, bad move? Why did they do it? I don't know.
I have so many thoughts. Here's my thing: I am a fan of water parks. Anybody that knows me, I love them. Volcano Bay at Universal is amazing. I love the Disney ones too. But the reason I like the Disney ones is because they're not crowded. Usually, you do have your days, obviously weekends especially. But I feel like that's gonna blow this right out of the water. Like, I think everybody's gonna be there now. I think even if the parents don't, the kids will be. And then everybody's going to be soggy in the lobby when they're going to check in because they spent all day at the water park and now their room's ready and there's just going to be water all over the place. I don't know. I like the idea. I think it's cool. I think especially if you're doing a split stay, I think there's really some advantages to that, because then if you're flying in at 12 or 1 or something on your first day and you only have a couple hours, because those water parks all close early. My dog's going to start barking now. But if you're doing a split stay, you could potentially have the whole day on that day that you're switching resorts. So, that's a hack that really people could use. But I don't know. I like that the water parks are kind of a secret. I don't know.
And they're not nearly as crowded as like the water park down the road, Volcano Bay, which can go upwards of 200 minutes to wait for one slide.
Yeah, they that sells out pretty, not regularly, but there's days that they turn people away to go back to the theme parks.
But you read my mind with Soggy Lobby.
Listen, Soggy in the Lobby is going to be a big thing. We're putting it on shirts soon now because that was the best. Soggy in the Lobby is the thing.
Soggy in the Lobby.
I'm hoping that all
Soggy
of the lobby, all of the furniture becomes vinyl very quickly in all of these different lobbies across property. But
grandma's house.
And the reason that they're so not crowded is partially, I think, due to transportation. It's not easy to get from your resort to, you have to go to Disney Springs and transfer. You got to go to Animal Kingdom and transfer. I don't know. I don't know.
Amy?
I think that I would probably be, as a guest, not like thinking as someone who doesn't live in Florida. If I was traveling, I think I would be too lazy to huff it all the way over there and to transfer buses on check-in day, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, if as soon as this came out, the first thing I thought of was like, this is the please stop asking the front desk when your room is going to be ready perk. You know what I mean? They're just constantly, I think, being bombarded by people who are waiting for their rooms. And then if you don't have an annual pass, you're not buying a park ticket. So like, how do we get rid of these people so they just leave us alone for a couple hours? So I feel like that's really part of the goal. And then to Jeff's point, they haven't really, I don't think they can stop anyone from split stays from getting it again. I think there's no really way to do that. So that is a really good
1 night minimum currently.
Right. So I think that would be a good for like DVC members who are splitting, and then it's, you do it in the middle of your vacation instead, and that's your check-in day. That could work really well for DVC. But overall, I don't know. But people can go to the pool just the same as they can go, you know what I mean? If they're waiting for their room and they choose not to do that, a lot of people just choose to sit there and complain their room's not ready. So what makes you think they want to drag their kids over to a park?
Have you guys ever had it to where, obviously now they text you when your room is ready, right? So maybe you're sitting by the pool and then you get a text. Have you ever not cleared your text, so then you get one, but you happen to look at it and it was from one like a year ago? So you show up at that room and you're knocking on the door and you realize and go, oh my God, this is from a year ago. I didn't even realize it. My room's not ready. It said I was. And they're like, sir, that was from a year ago. We're the one right above it is you. I think the whole thing with the water parks, I think people do, like Amy said, I just think it's a lot to ask of people, like, especially if you have kids. My God, changing kids' clothes and stuff like that after a long travel day sounds a little daunting. It's nice they offered it. I think probably the number one thing that people do when they come to Disney, if they don't, use their park tickets until the next day, is they go to Disney Springs. I mean, that used to be my tradition, was always like, hey, it's our first night. Let's go hang out at Disney Springs. I'm sure there's a cost involved, but I mean, I would have liked to have seen something like, hey guys, when you check in, here's a $25 voucher to eat at one of the places in Disney Springs, like one of the stands, not like a sit down place.
Yeah.
But that way it serves the purpose of basically getting them out of the lobby versus waiting for your room, send them over to Disney Springs. You're not going to go to Disney Springs and just spend the money that you got on a voucher. You're going to spend more. It's like going to a Vegas, oh, I got a great rate and I dropped $2,000, but you can at least get them out that way. But I mean, you're never going to complain about it because Disney's actually doing something that they didn't have to do this. So I would never complain about it. Yeah. I wouldn't do it, but at least it's good news to report.
One of the big things that we're hearing from a lot of members in the DVC fan community is, first off, international members are kind of like, this is a non-starter for us. We can't even take advantage of this benefit because by the time we get there, it's going to be 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But the same can also be said for most people that are probably traveling anywhere Midwest to West Coast. Yeah. You're not getting here until maybe, Jeff, I mean, you can tell me 2, 3 in the afternoon, maybe at the earliest, and the water parks close at 5. So
we always took the red eye, so we were a little bit different. We were here at 5 a.m. so we could have used it because you can sleep in the lobby or you can sleep under an umbrella on the pool.
Why they're doing the promotion.
This is why there's free water parks now. Jeff Haslam is the reason.
But I think going back to what we were saying, it's nice that us DVC members get this benefit, but I don't think it's for us. That's not who their target is. These are the people that are coming here for a week from wherever, and not staying DVC. But then I look at that, and if they're doing a typical package that's, 7 days with 5 days of whatever park ticket options you're choosing, the daylight between a 5-day pass and a 6-day pass is not a lot, and it gets less and less the longer you go. So you can have this free water park, or for an extra $20, you can spend your afternoon at Epcot if you want to. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I think it's great. I don't want to knock on free stuff from Disney, but I don't think it's going to accomplish any of their goals.
Well, there's no other details as of now as to how this is going to work.
It doesn't even start till 2025.
Doesn't start till 2025.
That's a long way away.
That is a long
But it makes a great headline. In the days now where every single day there seems to be another Disney news story about Disney raised the price of this, they're taking this away, they're not doing enough, they're not building another park. If they can have one day of headlines saying, hey, if you stay at a Disney resort, we're all going to treat you to a water park of your choice, it looks good for that one day of good price.
And that way you can be hashtag soggy in the lobby in 2025. And I think on that note, we are going to wrap up this edition of the DVC show and all of the recent news. We do like one of these news deep dives about once a month just to discuss in detail a lot of the stuff that's happening. And if something really exciting happens, like Jeff buying a cabin, then we'll obviously do another news-related episode to cover.
Or a live stream.
Or a live stream. You never know.
That'll be the next studio. The cabin in my backyard.
See, now
that's a pretty cheap studio. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
$50,000. We'll take that.
Well, we still got
in memoriam.
Still got to get water and heat and all that over there.
Yeah.
AC.
If you liked this, please hit that like button, subscribe to our DVC Fan YouTube channel, and as always, join in the conversation on dvcfan.com and in the DVC Fan Facebook community. And also, there's some great content over in our Patreon, patreon.com/DVC fan. This whole group of people, we recently posted a video on YouTube of us going to the most recent Moonlight Magic at Disney's Animal Kingdom. But up on Patreon is what I called Panda's Edit, in which Panda put together a little snippet of some stuff that he recorded throughout that evening. And it's Patreon only content. So patreon.com/DVC fan if you want to check out some of that. But that's going to do it for us. And we will see you all next Monday.